Welcome to Bill's Campday Recap. I'm Thad Brown along with Rachel Liebert, Caleb Carr. We are again here at St. John Fisher University today after day 10 of Bill's camp. Only 2 more days left. Can't believe we're almost to the end of camp, which is kind of weird to think about because it's like 8% of the season. So there's still a lot more football to go, even if camp is almost done. Today, look, yes, we are going to get the James Cook day 2 of what is now a hold-in, a continuous hold-in. But, of course, this show is generally football first. Let's talk about what happened in practice today. And, guys, we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about how good Trey White has played, how impressive he's been. And he went out and had another day today where we have to, again, begin with Trey White.
Yeah, he's just been on a roll lately. We talked a lot about yesterday about how he just continues to get more and more comfortable. I think he's, really close to that point of, just ready to go 100%. I told Rachel on the field that it felt like every deep ball that was, incomplete, it was Trey White in coverage. So he didn't have a ton of pass breakups or interceptions or anything like that today, but he was just sticking to his man. He wasn't Josh would think that there was a little opening and he would try to force it, and then it was just closed just like that. So he just continues to grow, and he's looking really close to season ready.
The thing I liked about Trey, too, is that he had a couple of those plays where, like you said, it wasn't so much that he knocked the ball away specifically, but the pass was incomplete in his vicinity. He gets up, puts both arms in the air, celebrates over and over. Not only is he playing well, but he's feeling himself out there. He's excited to do what he does well, and I think Bills fans should be very excited about it as well. Rachel?
Yeah, we've been talking about the defense has kind of felt like a step forward or ahead of the offense, and I feel like a large part of that is Trey White. And when Trey White makes those plays, regardless if he got a hand on the ball or if he picked it off or whatever he's doing, he's bringing the hype to the defense, and I feel like that has to feed off of that. And he's definitely the guy that I've seen that has been the go-to, if something good happens, Trey White's celebrating.
And Trey White has been that guy before. Him being that guy again, I think might be the single most positive development for Bills fans for what we've seen through, 10 days of camp, literally 10 days of camp. Now, look, is he going to be that week 14? Who knows? We've talked about that as more of the question. But I don't know if you could have asked for more from Trey White through the first 2 weeks and change of camp than what they've gotten so far. And especially with Max Harrison going down, if there's anybody on the team who needed to step up, it's been Trey White. All right, let's go to the offensive side of the ball here. There were not many starting receivers who participated in the team drills today. Keon Coleman was out there again. Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore went through individuals. And to be fair, we don't even know if Elijah Moore can be counted as a starting receiver. Josh Palmer certainly is. Obviously, Khalil Shakir is hurt. Curtis Samuel, we assume he still exists. His name's on the roster. We haven't seen him much at camp. But this was a day where we've talked about Christian Wilkerson and Stephen Gosnell, some guys a little further down the depth chart doing well. This was not a day for those guys. This was a Tyrell Shavers day. He really was impressive today.
Yeah, he was one of the main targets out there. He was out there with the ones a lot, and Josh was continuing to look his way in really every part of the game, in the short game, in kind of the intermediate and the long throws. There were a couple times where Josh got out of structure, and Shavers was kind of moving around the field and found an open area to help Josh out. So I like the kind of connection that they have, and it feels like every day now is a lower wide receiver on the depth chart is shining. It feels like every single day, and today was Shavers' day.
Part of that is because these guys get so many chances with so few starters out there, but at least they are producing when they get the chance.
Yeah, and Shavers was a guy that we saw go down in the back of the end zone. What was it, day 2 of camp?
They all run together, but yes.
So,
no, that's right. It was the play with Hairston.
Yeah, he went down the play with Hairston.
It might have been, well, I don't know if it was day 2, maybe been 3 or 4.
It was early.
Yes,
it was
very early. Yeah, you're right.
And so at that point, we didn't know, what was happening with Shavers, and now he comes out here and he seems to come back a little bit stronger than maybe he was those first few days. And like you said, he had the touchdown, and I think it was a Josh threw it with the first teams. Yeah, he had a touchdown. He went up for a deep ball. There were a few that. Few overthrows, but he was open. Shavers is getting open in those situations, and same thing we've been saying, they've been taking advantage of those opportunities, and it's cool to see him because we haven't talked about him. We've talked about all those other guys, and he was someone who has been here, and he's getting those opportunities. So
the encouragement, if Shavers can be a guy who produces in terms of down to depth chart receivers, is that he's a guy that was on the roster last year. He wasn't just some undrafted free agent they signed that's a lottery ticket at best. This is a guy that's proven at least a little bit he can play and hang in the league. He's got great size at 6'4". The only guy that really is as tall as Keon is. So if you got a lift, a jump from Tyrell Shavers this year, that's a guy that you feel like could be productive on the field. Now, today has really been, I think, his only really good day. Like Rachel said, the most notable thing he's done was be on the wrong end of Max Hairston doing a little extra in the end zone. But today he was, and even some of the plays where he didn't make a catch, the Bills are targeting him, I guess, again, because there was no one else to target. But regardless, it was a good day, a positive move from a guy who you can be encouraged if you see something out of him. You mentioned really quick the first team offense scoring a touchdown. We brought it up yesterday. They hadn't done it. Finally today they get a score, and it was a really good drive, at least how it finished. 2-minute drill situation. Josh Allen throws the Keon Coleman for a first down, and then he takes a sack. So all of a sudden they're in 3rd and like 18, 30 yards to Shavers over the middle. To be fair, that was in a region of the field where Jordan Hancock, the rookie, was playing safety. Little grain of salt, whatever. 30-yard play. Then Josh Allen threaded a ball over the middle to KJ Hamler, and it was between like 3 defenders. I think probably the best single throw I've seen Josh make this camp. And then he finished it with a 3rd and 10 throw from the 11 to Shavers for a touchdown. So finally, the first team offense has scored. You know, look, we weren't worried about them, but regardless, give me your reaction to, oh yeah, Josh Allen is good. That can happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing this first team offense, but it's really not even, it's these backup players that are making these plays. So you say first team, yes it is, they're getting reps with the first team, but still, I mean, finally we see Josh Allen, and it's good for him to make those, you know, Keon's the only one out there that is one of those, a first teamer, and you know, as we've had the Keon conversation, but it's good to see Josh Allen make the plays that you know Josh Allen can make, and those like over the shoulder, just putting it in the exact right spot. It's good to see. Finally, we're seeing it.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things for me too was that play happens, touchdown, Josh runs over and he's celebrating with the guys, and to see that, you know, that's the first touchdown I've had, and one of the most excited moments that I think Josh has also felt loose today. Like, he felt like he was having fun. There was one play that me and Thad saw where he kind of ran down the field blocking for whoever the running back was, and we were like, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
But it's Josh being loose.
Yes,
it's a great point.
He was loose, he was having fun, and I think you saw that a little bit more today.
Although lead blocking on a random
not a good idea.
Play. No,
not a good idea.
We're definitely in the con camp for that. All right. I watched a lot of the offensive line, defensive line one-on-ones today. A couple notes from there. TJ Sanders got a couple reps against backup offensive lineman Chase Lunt, and the other, I didn't remember the second one, and really got stonewalled both times. Not something you want to see from the rookie. It's just 2 reps. It's not his whole camp. He really has not been super noticeable this camp. I think of the young defensive linemen, I really want to put it in inverse order of how they were drafted thus far. I think Deion Walker's made some plays. He was sick today, did not practice. Landon Jackson, occasionally, he had one good rep today that I liked. TJ Sanders really has not been a guy that I've been impressed with so far. Outside of that, the 2 guys who were good today, and let's talk about these guys a little bit. We'll start with Javon Solomon, who in the one-on-one drills absolutely blew by Richard Golraj a couple times, and Richard is not that high up in the depth chart, so it's not, hey, look, he beat Deion Dawkins. But Solomon, the last 2 or 3 days, guys, has, I think, taken a noticeable jump. This is a guy that has been way down the depth chart. They brought in so many defensive linemen. No one talks about what the last year's 6th-round pick might do. But Solomon, both in the pass game and the run game, Caleb has been, you know, pretty impressive the last, not a lot of camp, but the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, especially today, he was on notice for me. There were a couple plays in the 11-on-11s where you saw him get around a running back or a tight end and get to the quarterback. Obviously, they're not hitting yet, but there were definitely a couple times where I was like, maybe not a sack, but like he's making the quarterback move, which is important. He's disrupting the quarterback. And then to your point, in the run game, it felt like really the entire defensive line and linebacker group, there weren't really any big runs. And again, we're still not fully hitting, so it's really hard to tell when a player has a good run or doesn't, but it felt like today that they were really attacking, and Solomon was there just about every time.
The Bills' run defense, I feel like, has been winning the first-team run game so far this camp. Go ahead on Solomon. Then,
yeah,
Rich.
I was just going to, basically exactly what Caleb said. Whether or not he was, that would have been a sack or not, he's putting the pressure on the offense, and that's what you like to see from him. And when you're focused on him out there, like, you see him getting around people and, like, really making a difference on that line. So, yeah, same thing. He did have a good day.
It's also in the run game, too. One of the criticisms of him last year was, yes, he's an electric, potentially outside edge speed rusher, but he's too little to play in the run. And there were multiple times in camp last year, you'd see Solomon against a run play just getting, washed up like a little minnow trying to go upstream with all the salmon. That was not the case today. He made not tackles, but certainly was in on multiple run plays. He had a tackle for a loss yesterday. So the fact that you're seeing it both against the pass and against the run with Solomon, to me, is the most encouraging part of what 56 has been doing in the camp so far. Let's drop one number down on the roster here, number 55, Michael Hoyt. Now, for a lot of different reasons, because the Bills rotate a lot of guys, because you can't just, play the same guys against the first team all the time. They rotate in general, but certainly in camp. Michael Hoyt has gotten a lot of reps lately with second and third teams or against second and third teamers. And every single time I see him on the field without a first team on the other side, he looks like he is way too good for that situation. Like, I don't belong here. I haven't seen him have the same level of dominance against the first team, although there's certainly been active moments for him. But getting a veteran to where, okay, this is definitely something that you don't belong in the good way, I'm very encouraged by that.
Yeah, and you said that a couple times today during practice, and I agree that when he's out there with the second and the third teams and he's just creating havoc, that's very encouraging. I want to see it more with the first teams, though, because I haven't, there's been a couple plays here and there where I'm like, oh, okay, he's getting some action, but overall his play with the ones hasn't been anything to really be too excited about.
I don't know if I go there. I think there've been more moments than that to where I wouldn't say it's nothing to be excited about, and I don't know if he said nothing, but it is not, oh my goodness, this might be the next Joey Bosa either.
Which we're not expecting him to be. He was like, when he was signed, I don't think anyone was like, this is a game-changing sign. But if he can make some game-changing plays, then obviously that's a big improvement.
Big picture, the Bills added 6 defensive linemen. Someone's got to be a game changer. If they end up with the same group of B and B plus guys they've had for years, A minus guys in some cases too, that's not going to be good enough. Michael Hoyt, I don't think, was one of the guys who you thought would be most likely to be the lottery hit. I'm going to do the scratch off and come up with 10 grand kind of thing. But the fact that you're getting plus play from him, I think, is in the vacuum of how did the Michael Hoyt signing work out? It looks good so far.
Yeah, I think it looks good so far too. And the biggest, I think, takeaway that I have from watching Michael Hoyt is that he can move. Like, not that I didn't expect him to be able to move, but he seems quick on his feet. And like you said, you want to see more of that with the first team, but also it's not something to be worried about. I feel like he will get there with, being in a new offense or being with a new team, I guess. And just your defense rather. But yeah, I mean, he can move. Like, that's been my biggest takeaway, is that he's getting to the ball quick.
And that's his game too, being versatile, being able to, threaten the quarterback and drop into coverage. We've seen plenty of that. Like, it is as advertised so far. One more note from practice that, Caleb brought up, and that's a good one to point out. Joe Andreessen had a very, not only good day, but notably good day.
Yeah, and not only that, he was constantly out there with the ones. Like, almost every single drive or every single session that happened today, I looked out there and Joe Andreessen's out there with the ones. And not only that, but he's making plays. He had a really good coverage against
Dalton Kincaid.
Yes, back at the end zone. He had a pass breakup. I can't remember who the receiver was.
That was Sokol.
Mm-hmm. But it was from Allen, I believe. It might have been.
I don't think it was an Allen throw, but it doesn't matter. It was a really high level
great pass breakup. He broke on the ball.
Remember, the defense went crazy when he had the breakup against Sokol. Yeah.
And that's another thing that I wanted to say about him was, I think he's becoming one of those guys that, like, not becoming. He is one of those guys that this defense loves. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously they all like each other to the most part.
No,
I
know what you're saying.
But there's specific guys, Trey White being one of them, that when they make a play, just gets the defense hyped. And I think he's one of those guys, and I think that's going to help him continue to make more big plays like he did today.
Yeah, I think you profiled him earlier at camp, right?
Yeah, I did. I had a package on him earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can go see it at your nearest local Buffalo Bills website. Go ahead.
The story that you kind of had out of this was, okay, last year he was a story, Buffalo Joe being the hometown guy, and now how does he make a difference this year? And I feel like at camp, we've seen him. He's been in with the ones. He has been making a difference. Everybody's excited for him, and I feel like that's the next step for him. He's not just, okay, well, I'm here, I'm the hometown kid. He's actually, I'm the hometown kid, and I can do something.
A lot of chances today because Terrell Bernard, although he was back at practice, did not participate in teamwork. Dorian Williams still out. So kind of like the receivers, somebody had to play linebacker, but Andreessen certainly took advantage of his opportunity. All right, let's get to the story that has everybody talking. That would be James Cook. Rachel and I, after practice today, did a detailed discussion on every single step that James Cook took today.
Not many.
On the practice field. Rachel, why don't you go ahead and lay out James Cook's participation in practice on Monday?
Very limited. He came out of the gym. We're pretty sure. Out of the St. John Fisher gym, kind of walked out, went around. I believe he went around the tent. He kind of stopped at the tent, walked around the tent.
The cold tub tent.
Yes. Very brief appearance, walked onto the field and straight into the porta potty, and then turned around and walked right back out. So didn't set foot on the actual field, barely set foot on like even the track around the field, but that was all for him. He was there, but he didn't. That was it.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is like 45 seconds of what James Cook did on day 2 of his Holden. Before we talk about, our reaction to where this is going, what today's news, what today's update meant, James Cook using the porta potty, let's tell you what some of his running back teammates think about the situation.
Truth be told, again, I really pay no focus to it. I didn't pay no mind to it again. Whatever they got going on, I got to control what I can control.
He's a man. He's handling his business like a man. That's just what it is. He's just handling his business. You know what I'm saying? And he has his way of handling things, and I respect it.
We'd love to have him out here. He's a great running back. He's a great teammate, great brother. So, however the situation folds out, I know it's going to be in best for his interest.
So Cook now is officially a extended Holden. There's no reason to believe he's going to practice Wednesday or Thursday or anytime soon. We talked a lot about, the situation yesterday, that the question now is what needs something changed, what needs to change now to get him back on the field. Anything different, Caleb, after we've had 24 hours to kind of digest, where the Bills are. And let's also mention Brandon Beane was on Buffalo radio station WGR 550 this morning, said the team was not expecting Cook to not participate, that negotiations are continuing, but really didn't get an indication anywhere that they're any sort of close at this point.
Yeah, we had a conversation this morning, and I think that I believe Brandon Beane when he says that they didn't expect it. I think there was definitely something that had to have happened behind the scenes. Maybe it happened and the team didn't initially think, okay, now Cook's going to hold out. But I think now that it's happening, there has to be something that the staff can look back at and say, it was probably this. So I believe him when he says that it was unexpected and they didn't expect it. But I still think that something had to have happened behind the scenes. But to your question, not much different from yesterday. I still think that money is the answer. I'm more worried because he was barely out there today, but then, and it matters very, very little, he was wearing Bills apparel today. I
was going to get to that, yeah.
Which, again, it means so little in the grand scheme of things because he was out there for like 45 seconds. But it's something, but not much.
In the world where we are analyzing his exact path to the porta potty and then leaving the porta potty, having Bills gear on is a plus, even if not being on the field at all is a minus, because at least on Sunday, he was watching practice, he was on the bike, he wasn't doing anything, but he was out there. Today, he wasn't even out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very strange turn of events, I feel like. Just like, because he was obviously here for the majority of camp, and then he decides not to, and then today, it doesn't show up on the sidelines. To me, it almost feels like, I know you say something must have happened or some within this contract negotiation, but like, do we think something has happened, or do we think it's just like a James Cook, just he's over it, do you like, because to me it feels like, maybe that's just what it came to is, I've been coming to camp, but now I'm just at the point where I need to make a stance and a statement, and this is what I'm going to do.
It's not impossible. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, all of us and anyone else with a microphone in front of their face who's talking about the James Cook situation is just throwing out speculation. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel like he would suddenly, with nothing changing, decide that I don't want to practice. Yeah. Now, maybe there was a situation where the team said, hey, we're going to get back to you on Sunday or Saturday, like the last 2 days, and we're going to have something to say. And then maybe they didn't, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm with, Caleb. I kind of still feel like that this is a bigger concern than most contract situations because we assume something happened. We don't know what that something is. It's probably just money related, but what that thing is now apparently also needs to be solved on top of the contract issue as well. All right, when we come back, we're going to meet one of the Bills' young defensive players and talk a little more about the guys who starred today at practice. You're watching Bills Camp Day Recap. Welcome back to Bills Camp Day Recap. Thad Brown with Rachel Liebert, Caleb Carr, full house here at St. John Fisher University. Caleb, you had a chance to sit down with one of the defensive backs the Bills grabbed in the draft, who a lot of people were very excited about. Dorian Strong, myself included, has the size and the athletic ability that you think the ceiling is a real high-level corner in the NFL. And his camp so far hasn't been spectacular, but certainly trending up.
Yeah, like you said, his body type and everything makes it very exciting to have him on the team. Training camp so far, some highs, some lows here and there. But like you said, he's one of the 3 cornerbacks that were taken in the draft. So not only do you come in as the 3rd, he was taken in the 6th round out of Virginia Tech. So not only do you come in as the 3rd in your draft, but there's a lot of new veterans in this room. It's kind of a crowded room now, a room that didn't have much depth last year, now has a lot of bodies in it. So he has a lot of work to do, but he's ready to face it head on. Coming into a new position room as a rookie is not easy, but cornerback Dorian Strong is ready to embrace the challenge.
Like I say, the cream always gonna rise to the top.
The last of 3 defensive backs taken by the Bills in the 2025 draft, Dorian is working to find his spot on this roster and enjoying the friendly competition along the way.
So regardless, 1st rounder, 5th rounder, 6th rounder, like we all gonna compete to the, you know what I'm saying, to the whistle. So I don't really shy away from no competition. I love to embrace it.
It's not all a competition though. Strong says he's worked a lot with the older guys, and who better to learn from than Christian Benford.
Every day after practice, we work some technical stuff. I just ask questions with CB, try to get little tips and tricks, because obviously like he's playing it at a very, very high level. That's my goal, and that's what I want to be.
Earlier this week, defensive coordinator Bobby Babich mentioned Strong as one of the players that will need to step up in the absence of Maxwell Hairston. Strong tells me this was a direct testament of the hard work he's put in so far.
I feel like I've been gaining a good amount of trust throughout the coaching staff. I've been showing my consistency and stuff like that. Has it been up to the standard every time? No, and that's okay as long as I learn from it and just try not to do repeated mistakes.
Strong tells me that obviously making the 53-man roster is his main priority. But for now, he looks ahead to the preseason with the goal of getting his first career interception and growing from every snap.
I know every game is not going to be perfect, but I like to be as perfect as I can be.
All right, Caleb, thanks for that. Strong, certainly a guy that will get opportunities now, you would think, with Max Harrison, at least for the next few weeks, sitting on the bench. All right, time for our turkey burgers. Every single day we highlight players who had good plays and or good practices at Bills camp here at St. John Fisher. Caleb, you will go first with your first turkey burger for today.
Thank you. I'm going to go with Joe Andreessen, formerly known as Buffalo Joe. He doesn't want to have that title anymore, but the way that he's been playing so far in camp, and especially today, you know, he got a lot of first-team reps, and he took advantage of them. He's starting to look like more than Buffalo Joe, which is something that he's striving for this year. Great day from him, a pass breakup, some good coverage in the end zone on Kincaid. So just an all-around good day, and he's been growing a lot in this camp.
Rachel?
We're going to go back to Shavers. We were having the conversation of how he really had a good day for himself and with the ones and, you know, caught that touchdown for the offense and had a good day. And, yeah, I mean, like we already kind of really went into detail with him, but he's been getting those opportunities coming back from that injury we saw the first few days of camp and had a few good grabs today. So, yeah, turkey burger goes to him.
My first one's going to be Javon Solomon, mainly with the 2 really good wins in one-on-ones, admittedly against backup offensive linemen. But it almost feels like it's kind of a, I don't want to say lifetime achievement award, but like camp achievement award. It's been a good week. It was only a matter of time before Javon Solomon would appear on this list. And today was that day. Caleb, your second one.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned him yet today, Cam Lewis. He had an interception off red zone work, I believe, off of Josh Allen. Allen kind of tried to force it in.
He very much tried to force it in.
Very much. Tried to force it. I believe it was to Dawson Knox, who was in the end zone. And Cam Lewis, he didn't come out of nowhere. It was pretty tight coverage, but he made the right move. He made the right play, got the interception, and he had a lot of space on the side. He went a little bit. I'm not going to call it a pick six, obviously, but he had some space there, and it was a great play, great break on the ball.
And if he didn't make that catch, it would have been Matt Milano making the catch. Because,
most likely.
Yeah, because it was just a packed house.
Completely covered.
For sure, but, you know, give Lewis credit for actually making the interception. By the way, Matt Milano not going to get a turkey burger today, but he was like turkey burger honorable mention. You know, it was like maybe half a bun or something like that. He had a good day as well.
That's the bun.
That was a bad analogy. Let's not explore it any further. Rach, your second turkey burger.
We're going to go back to Trey White. We've given Trey White a few turkey burgers throughout camp, and he deserves all of them. I think we've said a million times, he's always in the deep coverage. He's locking up his guys. And I just want to give it to him because he brings the energy consistently, and I think he's just a really good thing for this defense. And, you know, he started off as a guy that we thought, okay, he's going to be fighting for a spot, and now he's the guy that looks like he could be a go-to guy in this defense. So, Trey White.
I'm going to actually audible from our original plan on my second turkey burger. I'm going to go KJ Hamler today, who had 2 really good catches. Now, we talked about in the team drill that Josh Allen had an incredible throw, and Josh Allen could have gotten a turkey burger for that, but you know, it's almost like redundant to give Josh Allen turkey burgers. Hamler on the play, it was not the easiest catch in the world at all. With all the bodies around on the ball, had to be in a particular window. He laid out for that. He had another good play earlier in practice today. So to me, KJ Hamler, notable here. Look, this is not a guy that I'm holding my breath to have an impact in the regular season, but he is certainly a fun guy to have in the locker room, almost a lock to be on the practice squad for that reason. And today he made a couple of impressive plays with the opportunity afforded to him because all the starters were sitting on the bench. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Bills Camp Day Recap. The Bills are off on Tuesday. It is Hard Knocks Day, everybody. The first episode of Hard Knocks will be out on Tuesday night on HBO. I'm sure everybody will sit down and have the popcorn, the fire going to check that out. We probably will talk about it on Wednesday. We'll see how good it is. I'm sure it'll be great. But certainly the Bills will be back here at St. John Fisher for the second to last practice of camp on Wednesday, and we will be back for that as well. We leave you tonight with Josh Allen reuniting with some friends, some young friends from the Oshai Children's Hospital. He was very excited to see them. These 2 youngsters designed the cleats he wore for the My Cleats, My Cause game last season. For Caleb Carr and Rachel Liebert, I'm Thad Brown. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again on Wednesday.
You have a fun day today?